Conditions at the Rahima Moosa Mother and Child Hospital in Johannesburg remains in the news. The hospital is suspending a doctor after he exposed the appalling conditions. You'll know the name. Dr Maayer has been reinstated, though, after the Gauteng Health MEC had intervened. But the South African Medical Association trade union wants to know what's being done to address the long-standing problems at the hospital. We'll get there in a moment. Dr Cedric Sihlangu, Samatu's National Task Team Coordinator, joining us this afternoon. Dr Sihlangu, hello to you. We'll talk about what's being done, what should be done, what hasn't been done in a moment. First of all, we can't have doctors being suspended for speaking out about how difficult their jobs are.
Gareth, thank you very much, and thanks for having us on your show as Samatu. Yeah, sure. Firstly, I think we should welcome the intervention from the MEC for Health in Gauteng, because surely, this suspension was really ridiculous and uncalled for. But indeed, it can't be that doctors, when they voice concerns regarding issues in their healthcare fraternity, they get bullied, get intimidated with these type of suspensions. It's really uncalled for. By their very nature, by the way, doctors are meant to be advocates for those without a voice, for their patients. So it's part of our training, it's part of our oath. So it really would be a sad day when we begin to treat doctors in this kind of manner when they actually raise concerns regarding our healthcare services.
Yeah, the Hippocratic oaths first do no harm. So how do you think we got to a point where it took the MEC to get involved in this? Because this seems to be the issue at the moment, doesn't it, Dr Sihlangu? Until we start headlining it as main stories, newspapers pick up on this, investigative journalists go and do their work, and doctors write letters, it seems that patients are left to fend for themselves until someone speaks up. And when they do, they're suspended. We can't be having this in 2022, surely.
Absolutely, Gareth. And you recall, especially with this incident in Rahima Moosa, there have been reports, two sets of reports, I think one in 2018, I think might be another one in 2022, speaking of the problems that are in that facility and nothing being done, meetings being held with management, but nothing being done. As recent as a few months ago, we even had Gift of the Givers intervening on the issue of the water crisis, where doctors would have to, be carrying buckets of water just to take it from one floor to another because there's no water through the taps and so forth. So it's essentially what has been happening here is it's a collapse of that institution, and the management surely must be the ones who are failing, because it can't be that when a doctor raises these concerns, you want to then be seen to be suspending that doctor, when in fact these issues are well known to the public.
And they are well known to the public, and part of the open letter that Dr Maayer had written, Dr Sihlangu, I'm sure you'll know that he used the words, and I want to quote, horrendous conditions. Then we have the MEC, Dr Mukherjee, meeting with the hospital CEO. Why isn't the CEO being fired, do you think? Should the CEO be gone? Precisely.
The issues that we face are that of leadership. Doctors are very dedicated, and by their training, they will always do what's in the best interest of the patients. But it's the accounting officers and those who are responsible. And if you read the letter from Dr. Maayer, he says, and he addresses it to, he says, dear administrators, clearly identifying who are the responsible persons who are meant to ensure proper functioning of these facilities. And the failure, therefore, has to come from the top. It must be the CEOs who are failing, so they can come and want to pass the buck and then suspend doctors for merely highlighting problems which they are responsible for.
So where do we try and fix this, though? We've still got the CEO in place. I'm seeing reports here that the meetings, the engagements, as we like to refer to them as, was fruitful and meaningful. What does that matter in the world to patients who have to deal with this lack of quality care at our hospital? They couldn't care if it was fruitful and meaningful. They want something changed. What do we do?
It sounds to me like a political statement, the type of promises that we make when we're approaching elections. We use these type of words, meaningful, fruitful, but it actually means nothing to the patient on the ground. I mean, we see pregnant women are sleeping on the floor in many institutions in Gauteng. It's not only Rahima Moosa, by the way. So even the MEC, it can't be that the MEC seems to be coming in here to intervene and make the situation or this current outcry go away when we know that the similar situation exists in Baragwanath and many other institutions. So again, it points to critical aspects of a failing government. And it's not just one singular CEO at a particular institution. It really speaks to the system as a whole, and it's failing.
Dr. Sihlangu, I'm about to appoint you as the Health Minister of South Africa. You have one job. You have one job, but to fix the issues at this hospital. And our last question to you, what do you do? Who gets fired and how quickly can you get it done?
Priorities. It all comes down, it boils down to priorities. You know, we've got a very problematic system in South Africa, this tender system that is about getting service providers to siphon money out of the state. We need to get in-house, readily available services that are properly functional outside of this notion of everything must be given through a tender for somebody to get money at the end of the day. Until we fix that aspect of the system, the problems are going to persist.
Okay.
Because it's about getting money. It's not about delivering services.
It's all about money. It's always about money. It's about delivering services. Let me ask again, maybe if I can pick up on this again, who's getting fired here? This can't carry on. Someone has to lose their jobs.
For every province, I believe that the MECs are other people responsible for accounting for that respective province. But in this instance, we're dealing with Gauteng. So if you ask me, the MEC for Gauteng must be the one that is responsible for what is happening in Gauteng in terms of the healthcare services. And it's not only issues of Rahima Moosa, it's Gauteng in totality. But it's a national crisis. If you ask me, the same thing is happening in Eastern Cape, the same thing is happening in Mpumalanga, and therefore the National Department of Health as well would have to be accounting, and that would take you to the minister.
There you go. I leave it there. Dr. Cedric Sihlangu from the South African Medical Association Trade Union. I appreciate his time this afternoon.